There we go. Hi, hello, and welcome to our bi-weekly dev stream. My name is Matt, and with me is not Mark. Mark just left. He's gone now. Not in the stream at all. Uh, Next to me is Max, and above me is HB. How's everybody doing today? HB, you're back. We missed you.
I am back.
Everybody else
Yes.
missed you. Everybody was like, "Where's HB?" Whoa.
Yeah, I know. I'm back. I very excited about the fact that I actually haven't looked into the community highlights this time, so it's gonna be a surprise for me as well. Hey. Am
Thank
I too
goodness you're
loud?
back, though.
Ooh, sorry.
I fixed it.
It struggled with the community highlights without you last time, so you're gonna lead the charge on this one.
You just are so much better at dissecting them than we are. We're just like, yeah, it's cool, man.
Yeah, I like the
Awesome.
colors.
Lego.
They're nice.
I mean, we're at Devstream 95. This is like
I know,
That's-
right? That's quite crazy.
we've done
Lord.
community highlights. I don't know if we did community highlights in the first couple streams, but we did it. We started it very early on.
No, we
so-
did.
Oh,
we
we
totally
did.
did. I'm pretty
First
sure
one?
I'm pretty sure we started like I don't think it was called community highlights, but we showcased things that people were making.
So
Well,
what
we
are we gonna do?
Hey, you wanna call us out on that? Go check out our our dev stream playlist on youtube.com/Foxhole game. Foxhole game.
Foxhole game. Yeah.
What is the game we make again?
I almost said like Clapfoot. I was like, oh, what the fuck? So yeah, man. People are saying that the dev stream 100 will be delayed. Yes, it will.
Yeah. What are we gonna do for that? Do we have special plans? I
Now
think
we
should
gotta
just-
do something special. for
let's
sure.
get Lek and Sunchips on here to announce whatever they want to announce, and whatever they announce, we have to make it.
Oh God.
Yeah,
No.
that's not a good
That's
idea at all.
Hell no. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. People are saying I'm too quiet. Am I too quiet still, or am I too loud
Not
now?
for us.
You were a bit quiet when we started, man.
Well, what you guys hear isn't what they hear. I have a different microphone.
Oh yeah.
Gotcha.
So not quiet now. Okay, good. I can be louder if you
Now
want.
please don't.
Uh,
Let me lower your volume.
all right. So I just want to say Windows effed everything up last week. We didn't have a stream last week, but I have other streams. It screws everything up every time they do an update, so I apologize for the audio.
Yeah, I know, right?
HB, why don't we start with some community highlights?
Oh yes, please bring it to me. Yes, give me, Mark. Give me the community highlights. If you don't know what community highlights, the preview is. Community highlights is a blog post that we do every 2 weeks. Max gathers all the cool stuff that the community does, and then we just show a little bit of a preview of that blog post on the dev stream. We're gonna start with this one by Nico Wars. Ooh, I haven't heard this name. I don't remember this. This is really fucking good. Look at the background.
I
Look.
think
Yeah, I really hope I
This
got
is
the
a
right
m-
attribution.
This is amazing.
Mhm.
I love the painterly style. I love this is like all this. This is called atmospheric perspective. The thing that you see like things getting more faded out as they go back. So it gives a lot of like volume to the piece. Absolutely well done. I've seen a lot of tanks. I am a fan of proper perspective, and this looks amazing. It's not usually the case. This looks so good. The composition is great. Yeah, man.
you know what's
Absolute.
the one. You know what's the one thing I always think about when I see stuff like this, which looks amazing, is when they include these assets that we've made a long time ago that we intend to replace at some point, like the watchtower. It's like one of the oldest assets in the game, and it's like all this effort went in to make it look authentic to the game, which is super cool. And I'm like, no, why'd you put that
Well-
one in there? We're probably gonna change it.
Yeah, I know, right? But this looks fantastic. I absolutely love. It's not easy to make like snow compositions like this, in my opinion. But
Matt.
Nico Wars totally nailed it.
Hey, Matt and Max, which town is that in the background?
That is Weathering Halls.
I mean, it
I'm
looks
going
like
with
Hyper
walls.
Pit because of the wall.
Because
with
of the
with
the
gun on
wall.
it.
Yeah, the curved walls with the in place things.
HB
Yeah.
would know very well.
I know. Like I don't know the names of absolutely any towns other than I only know like 2 towns.
Hyper Pit and Blemish.
Yeah, because the one that worked on them. Yeah, no, I love it. I really like the effect that Nico put on the background. I wish we could have commanders that have rifles on the top there. Really cool.
I feel like that
It's not
colonial.
feature creeping.
I feel like that colonial is a little deep in Warden territory. Though I gotta be
Yeah,
honest.
he kind of deserved to be captured in that case.
It's kind of
It's kind of
like
a
pretty
brutal
young
scene.
soldier there. It's kind of
Yeah.
dark.
Yeah, the veteran soldier on the warden side definitely got the best of him, and I'm sure that wound on his leg was not made with a pistol, so he might have been run over by the tank. I don't know.
Oof.
Look at that. It's like his
Dark.
leg is missing. Harsh. When are we gonna have the weapons showing on the backpack?
I was just
That
gonna
would be
say
great.
that.
Really?
Well, we
Yeah.
did one step last year where we started showing stuff like the first aid kit. So
Yeah, I know, right? We should
do that
continue
next
that.
steps. Yeah.
And Superior, once again. I like this because Superior usually does a completely different style. I think I see this as a departure from his established ways. It's pretty good. I really like it. Some issues with the long hand of the guy on the bottom right, but other than that, man, composition. Superior has always been really good with his compositions, regardless if it's 3D or not.
I
And
just
yes,
love that these have come when like we're doing like the winter war. Like right now, it's like the war layout is up north,
hmm
so it's kind of in theme with the current.
yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of cool. I know it
Actually,
wasn't
this one is a commission from Superior. He wrote a little caption on it. This one's a
Ah.
commission from Superior, who this is a depiction of the War 49 Port of Rhyme attack.
Oh, cool.
So yeah,
That is do you know who actually? So it was the commission completed by Superior, or was the Superior the one that commissioned the piece?
that was my understanding, was that it was Superior who did it.
I see. Do you know? You don't know who commissioned it?
No, I don't know.
It's really cool. Really well done. I love the. Man, this every time that you actually see like the action happening, always gets me excited.
Great.
So much art.
Nice. Oh yeah. Well, we have the obligatory mommy post.
Yep. Can't have a dev stream without it.
Cannot have a dev stream without a mommy post. We have this is cool, Stylo.
It's a
What
name I
about-
don't recognize.
Yeah, me neither.
Nor Super Vincent.
Interesting. Super
This is
Vincent.
apparently a depiction of the FOD arguments, but in game.
That makes absolute total sense, and I love it. That is FOD in a nutshell. I absolutely love it. Super Vincent, is that like a? I mean, this looks like a 3D model with a filter on top of it, but that's not a 3D model that we've done. It's not ours. So
I think the face is altered, but I think the rest might be based on our 3D models. And the hat is
cap,
different.
yeah, the cap is not.
I
I mean, regardless, really good job.
mhm.
I really wish sometimes it's not our game, so there's only so much we can do. I really wish that we had like more customization options on like your character. I mean, people still don't know that you can have female characters because nobody noticed the difference. But so literally, this would be the most wasted time ever in our game. But on Foxhole 3, when we do a first-person shooter, we might have to change that, right? We might have more customizations. I love it.
Or another way we can do it is we can add in a camera that allows you to zoom in a bit just to appreciate these kind of details, right?
I want
Yeah,
that
I
so
guess
bad.
so. And
I
then
mean,
we
we've
can
been
do
talking
the
about
VR.
that for a long time. I asked for that when we did a bit of a lore revamp. For the
Yeah, I
the
think
lore
that's
stuff.
just one of those like it's only a matter of time type of features, and not like we don't want to do it or it's never gonna come. It's
Yeah.
one of those like at some update, it's just gonna be like, hey, look, we got a pocket of time. Let's just do it, and then it'll be done, right?
We got a pocket of time. Let's put all this customization in. The artists are like,
No, I'm talking about the zoom in camera.
oh, okay.
Yeah, not the customization. Yeah, that's
Just one more example of Clapfoot pushing marketing back.
Yes.
Someone in
next
chat
one.
was mentioning what happened to GI Joe, and I was just thinking it'd be cool to have like a Foxhole GI Joe.
Yeah.
Just like almost like a slight offshoot where you've got, you know, robot ninja characters. And anyway, onto Lego.
Onto Legos. Walker has done some amazing Lego creations before, and oh my God, look at that! That motorcycle is the cutest thing I've ever seen. I love it. I absolutely love it. I also like the fact that like he really always incorporates the scenario. Uh, the colonial. What is the name of the mech? Matt,
The
I always forget the name.
Centurion.
Centurion, yes. The Centurion we've seen before. We didn't see this Centurion before. I think we saw a different one, right? It was a different Lego version of the Centurion, if I'm
Yes.
not
I don't
mistaken.
recall.
Yeah, maybe ever showed the same one. Not sure.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
always
no.
like every stream. Even this stream, we had this conversation. Like, wait, should we feature this stuff again? But it's just so good that it's just hard not to.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm not. I don't know if it's my internet, but I can't hear anything.
Oh no, it's
Like,
probably your internet.
Internet is failing for me.
okay.
So
Yeah,
apologies
if
for
you can't
that.
hear me, I don't know why I just said that, but anyway.
Yeah. Mark is completely frozen. Oh,
Oh wait, let me stop this. Is everything
Cool.
okay? Should I proceed or?
HP, are you
Hey.
good?
my internet is failing on me. I can't hear anybody. Sorry.
Max, why don't you lead? Take over.
Sure. Yeah, so this next one is we heard about this one today actually. Timberwolf was apparently working on this in the code chat channel with Matt and some of the other devs. It's just like it's super rough. I'm sorry for showing this a little. I know you're not ready to show this off, Timberwolf, but you put it out there, so we're posting it up. It's just a little. He's been working on Unity, learning how to do it, and he put this together. The coolest part about this is that apparently it pulls from the API. Is that right, Mac?
As far as I understand, I haven't actually spoken to him about this. I just saw that it was happening. I thought it was a really cool idea, and I like the way that the kind of parallax on some of the elements as it kind of scrolls in and out. It looks pretty cool. I don't know what the ultimate end goal is, but I think it's whatever it is. I think if it's like a interactive like live war table that you can maybe like, I could see this being easily loadable on like a browser or something, because it's Unity. So I think that'd be pretty cool.
Hopefully he will have like small little figures of all the elements that we have in the game, and then you can just push them around with virtual
Yeah, so
pushing and
like,
pulling things.
so this looks like this is going to reflect the actual war. It's like Foxhole stats, except like virtual 3D room, right?
Cool.
Hey, there should be like a VR mode where you throw on the
Absolutely, that's what I'm saying. Like it's kind of like a
Yeah.
VR. You can go in VR chat, and then you can actually place all your figures and draw on the table and saying, no, we should go this way.
Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna start implementing Foxhole VR now.
It's like a Zoom party, but for Foxhole.
Exactly.
Cool.
Anyway, yeah, I thought it was cool, so I shared it with the team this morning.
Good job, Timber. There you go. Sorry about the choppiness of my internet. That was a community highlight. So if you guys haven't seen your creations in here today, it's most likely gonna be in the blog post that comes at the end of the week. But if you don't see it there, send us a note because we might have missed something. There's a lot of creations. For the people that are interested, check the blog post. There's so much cool stuff. There's usually way more videos and things that were written that they're not conditioned to this format, and a lot of more images and stuff. The community is always creating some amazing things, so you should check it out. Next to development update.
Great. Yeah, so there's going to be this development update is going to be on the lighter side. There's no big new features to like announce. We just rolled off of update 40, and we're just moving on to update 41 and things beyond that. And we're just sort of in a little bit of a heads down phase. So the next stream should have more exciting things, but this one will be a little lower key. So there were a couple of things that I wanted to touch on. One is the recent server optimizations that we've done. So this is something that's actually not just new in update 40. This is something that has been there for the last couple of updates. I think starting last update is when we really switched on a lot of these features, but we basically spent a lot of time um, the last several months optimizing our servers with the goal in mind of reducing the amount of bandwidth that is consumed by users, and also reducing the amount of server CPU overhead. Really, with the goal there being to increase the capacity of the regions. So in times when we do have a region that is full, previously we were stuck at around like 150, 160. Sometimes we could push it up to like 170 type of player population, but now we're able to push it up to 200 and beyond quite safely. We've actually gone to like 210 um, in the last war, and there's still some kinks to work out, but it's mostly stable. And as an example, at the end of War 64, the last war, if you guys recall, as the Colonials pushed into Endless Shore and Alod's Bite, there were a bunch of last stands there where most players in the game were being stuffed into these two regions, or at one point just one region, and then at the other point into the other region, and we were sitting there at 100 versus 100 for most of that time. So if you did sense an increase in the player density, um, it was because the player cap was a lot higher. So there's a screenshot I captured of just in this war early on when there were a whole bunch of players all bunched up in one area, and things were performing quite well. And to just touch a little bit more upon that, here's a graph showing what we've been saving on the bandwidth side. So if you can see, the bandwidth optimization was switched on for the war that started on October 27th. So as you can see in that war, the number of players wasn't too far off from the number of players in the previous war, but the amount of bandwidth consumed was significantly lower, right? So this is not only good for like your own like internet connection, like you're not going to be downloading as much data just to play Foxhole, but it's also less data that needs to be pushed out on the server. And then the other cool thing that I want to show was a benchmarking tool that we made to help us in realizing some of these optimizations. Because whenever we make an optimization, we have to find a way to test it to see if it's working. And the ultimate test doesn't happen until you put it out into live and you actually have hundreds of players out there actually connecting to your servers. At that point, you know for sure. But you can't just wait to that point. You have to find various ways to do these tests before it hits live to make sure that it's as stable as it can be. And in the past, we've done different types of tests, but this particular test that this particular benchmarking tool that we made is something recent, and it's allowed us to reach some of the recent gains that we've had. So I'm just going to play a really brief video here of this, and I'm going to speed it up because it is a bit of a long video and we won't go through it all, but we will get to some of it just to show you guys what it's about. So essentially what it does is it simulates what one player client, what happens to a player client when it connects to a server and it gets all the data sent down from various structures and vehicles in the game, and the server has to figure out what gets set down to each client. And what this program does is it does a sampling of that on something that we feel is representative of an average experience. So how you can look at this all is if you ever ran a benchmarking tool before on your system to test out your graphics card, something like 3D Mark, I'm sure is a program that a lot of you guys have used. This is sort of like the server networking version of like 3D Mark, but instead of testing how good the graphics are. It's testing how fast the server's running, and essentially will translate to how many players we can support. Right. So this is a really cool tool that that we developed to help us in this process, and we hope that we're even going to get further optimizations in the future and to push things even beyond the 200 player capacity. So
Just because I see people come blowing up in chat, what you're seeing here is not a realistic battleground, guys. This is
Yeah.
like
This is random things.
the reason you see stuff flying around is because it's like the correct me if I'm wrong, Mark. It's
Yes.
randomly like placing things down, like random items in random parts of the world.
I mean,
Yes.
depends who is building. So
it's, I mean, I don't know. There's some crazy- no, but it's yeah, you're absolutely right, Max. It's intentional to be random because we procedurally generate this benchmarking tool procedurally generates this world, so that we can consistently have the same set of data that we're testing it. Another approach that we've taken in the past many times is we've loaded an actual save game from the live server, and we've used that to test as well. But doing it in the procedurally generated way allows us to always create a set of data, even when we change the game. And the save game that we pulled in the past might not be compatible with the future version, and that's not good because we need to have a consistent set of data in each of our tests. So yeah, this is just something cool that we wanted to share. Another, let me move past this thing that we wanted to share. Something else that we're working on that is going to be ready soon is map layers. So this is something that allows us to define multiple layouts per region to help balance out the maps when we create different starting conditions. So as you guys know, like sometimes we will create a new starting condition for the war, and we need to add in various structures to balance out the starting conditions. Like maybe we need to like add in a factory somewhere or storage depot and so on and so forth. And the existing way that we do this is not very efficient. We basically there is one layout for the map, and at the start of the war, we go in and we have to manually spawn in these extra structures, and we do it in sort of like an ad hoc way that isn't consistent and is more prone to human error and things like that. So the new method that we're moving towards is structure layers, which essentially allows the map creator to not only create a layout but also to add in extra layers that can contain extra structures and extra other things in the map. So as an example here, you can see in the screenshot there is a default layer for Cetaria in Great March, and there's the logistics layer. So in the past, we have to like literally go into the start of war and manually spawn in this stuff. But now we can have a level designer do it in a controlled setting, and we can just switch on the layer for a particular war, or we can switch it off. And there's also other cool possibilities of the system in the future. Maybe Matt, you want to talk a few moments about what potential cool stuff might come from this?
Yeah, so I mean, like, one of the things that I'm excited about with this is I actually really hate when things get spawned in. It makes
Yes,
me very mad because we don't do all the work trying to make things cool just to have stuff deleted or spawned in randomly. So this gives like map designers the control again. And also, I just want to address something in chat. People are like, "Why does the Colonials get another Logi town?" That's not how this works. That's not what we're showing here.
Yeah. This is an example, by the way.
It's an example.
Yeah.
your mistake for not showing a word and example alongside.
Yeah.
Fair enough. My mistake. I'll take that one.
So, but there's a lot of cool opportunities for this. One of them is, if we wanted to, say, have some sort of natural consequences, like, I don't know, this isn't like planned, so I'm just spitballing, but like an avalanche, one war causes a block in a road, we can do the same thing with that. Another one would be, like maybe weather oriented things, like if it's maybe it'll be snowier in one region, we can have piles of snow where there weren't piles of snow previously. This can be used also just to change the layout of certain, towns.
Actually,
or obstacles. Maybe it creates more obstacles where there were none. Like, basically, we can switch things on and off as we please, and it can be handcrafted by people like myself or Max, so that it looks good and it plays good.
Yeah, and so it would be more of a curated way of changing these maps up, as opposed to this sort of like ad hoc way that we do it now. So great. And here's an example of that, of the default layer, and then, for example, we add in a logistics layer. Usually, when we do it on the fly, we wouldn't be able to put as much care as, for example, you put into this, Matt. And even then, this was a test. But for example, there is a garrison house there in the default layer, but in the logistics layer, which switches off that structure in the default layer, we add in a refinery, right? And same with that safe house there, where we have a factory there instead of a safe house, right? So,
and this is important just so that we can change up the war map a little bit more than we currently do, because obviously it's restricted. And that's why we have to spawn things in, because we want to have a little bit more variety. And this will make it so that that variety is more built into the actual game rather than added
on the fly
manually.
Yeah.
Another example that I kind of didn't even think about was just like if like there, sometimes based on character player counts, sometimes additional factories need to be added. There could be like an additional factory layer, or an addition like an overflow layer potentially.
Yes.
And then that can also be done a little bit more organically, as opposed to having to spawn in a factory at a random location somewhere to balance out the load. Anyway.
Great. So I also
This
just
is a
want
big
to.
one.
So I just want to take the time to give a really high level overview on the schedule. So this isn't really talking about what features are coming, but it's just sort of in terms of the cadence of updates that are coming. The big thing is that our winter update. So this is like every year, as you guys know, if you've been with us long enough, we sort of do 2 big updates every year, where a lot changed in the game. There's a lot of new systems, and it kind of feels more like an expansion level of an update. We do that for the summer. We have a summer update, and then we have a winter update. So the summer big update this year was the arms race update 37. The winter update, which is going to be update 42, is going to be happening in January. Last 2 years we've done this in December, but we just need more time this year. And like update 37, we want to take a bit of extra time there, just to make sure that that update is as best it can be. But in lieu of that, in December we will be pushing out another update for arms race. It'll be the last arms race category update, and there's still going to be really cool stuff in there that we have in store for the holidays. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a bit, but that won't be the big update. The big update will be in January, and then in spring we're going to have, again, the monthly updates through the spring months. And as we mentioned a while back, we are still on target for a mid 2021 1.0 release, and that will also coincide with the summer update. So that's sort of the high level overview.
And to be clear, 1.0 does not mean no more updates. Foxhole is never going to get touched again.
Yeah,
that's an important distinction.
I think this is going to be something that you're going to hear us say like over and over again, is that
Particularly
1.0,
the closer we get to 1.0.
I think 1.0 will be like a big update, like Arms Race. Hopefully, it will be even bigger and cooler. But it's just gonna things are gonna continue on after that. So in some ways, it's not gonna change that much. The one thing we would like to do is throughout early access, we tend to change things. Um, like we tend to change major mechanics very frequently, and we tend to experiment a bit more. And this isn't always the most pleasant thing for users, and we understand the criticism there, but we are taking advantage of the early access period to make those experimental changes, kind of like changing the change we made with small arms recently. That category of change is probably not going to happen as frequently after 1.0, but almost everything else for the foreseeable future is going to remain the same. We're still going to be doing regular updates. We're still going to be having a big winter update next year, and it's not like 1.0 and then everything is different. It's like 1.0, it's great, it's going to be exciting, and then it's just going to continue on afterwards. And it's also not going to suddenly be a perfect game that's going to solve all your problems. There's of course, we're going to try to fix as many bugs as we can. We're going to try to make it as polished as we can, but there's still going to be bugs. There's still going to be issues. There's still going to be balance issues. All that stuff is still going to continue after on, like it's always continued. And we're just going to continue working on the game. So, and this last slide here, just a bit about on update 41. We will talk about update 41, which is the December update on the next stream. And we're going to go through the preview and talk about everything that's going to be coming. But just at a high level, what to expect. There's certain backlog features that we talked about in the past that you guys asked about over and over again. We're hoping to get around to some of those finally. There's going to be new content for the tech tree, just like every other Arms race update. We're going to add new vehicles there. One thing that we do want to do as part of sort of the bookend of the Arms Race series of update is to come back around and do another refinement pass on the tank combat. So with Arms Race, we did add in new systems there, like the tank armor system and the subsystem system. We have heard a bunch of feedback on that, and we do want to come back around and do another pass. So expect some things to shift there in terms with respect to things like tank armor penetration and things of that sort. So we're going to be making some tweaks, and we also want to bring back the battle tanks. So we did mention before that they were put aside for a couple of updates so that we can review them, because the feedback that we've been hearing about and that we see ourselves is that once battle tanks become unlocked, they sort of become the dominant vehicle on the battlefield and they overshadow everything else, and the optimal strategy just becomes to spam as many of these battle tanks as you can, and things like light tanks and medium tanks and other things sort of take a back seat, and it just becomes a game of spam, which doesn't leave a lot of room for strategic variety. So we are working to bring them back, and we will talk about that next time. The one thing to expect there is that they will be harder to procure than now as part of addressing that issue. So just as a heads up, there is something that is going to change there that will make things make them not as spammable as they are now. And there will be other cool stuff too that we're just not quite ready to talk about yet, but that'll be all in the next stream. So that's it.
All right, everybody, give me your questions, and I will try to ask the good ones. I got one already from Minibar ahead of time. Minibar asks, are there any plans on closing gates automatically after leaving them open for, say, 15 seconds or a period of time? That's the question.
I don't
Sorry,
think...
can you read that question again?
Are there any plans on closing gates for automatically after leaving them open for a period of time? In his example, yes, 15 seconds.
I don't think there are any plans for that, but doesn't mean that it couldn't be potentially an upgrade for a gate eventually.
I
If
actually
we
think that's
upgrade
a
other
good.
things.
I think that's actually a good feature to add. I think it's kind of this no-brainer like quality of life thing that just needs to happen at some point.
Yeah, like his whole point is because like, well, privates don't know sometimes to like close gates even when you are not in enemy territory, right? Just in case. And
I actually
as I
don't see
said,
any reason why we shouldn't do that.
I mean, yeah, but I was saying like, well, the whole point is to be player driven. Maybe it could
Right.
be an upgrade for a gate that you can do, even a cheap upgrade, you know.
Hmm.
Some Morrigan. I don't know if that's the normal Morgan. It's a strange username. Asks, does update 41 being the last arms race update mean it will be the last update in which we will add vehicle variants?
Hell no.
So what do you mean when you say it's the last arms race update?
It's the last arms race update. It's just that if you've been following us, we sort of change the theme every big update, and the arms race theme will be gone, but its legacy will remain. The tech tree will be there. We have a very long roadmap for vehicles, and it's too long. That's why Max is laughing. And there's going to
Yeah,
be
you guys should
tons
see
and
this
tons.
list of vehicles.
It's a lot. It's there's more tanks coming, like way beyond like 1.0. This extends, you know, yeah, it's laughable how much there is more to come in terms of that. So definitely, this isn't the end of more vehicles. In fact, there'll probably be more vehicles added after than there already has been added before. So,
Her officer asks a very general question to the group: Collie or Warden? We'll go through.
I'm cursed. I'm not neither of them. I'm for the cursed faction.
I'm not answering this because it's a trap question.
That's why I asked.
Such a trap question.
How dare you?
Wardens.
How dare you accuse us for being biased?
I just needed to kill time until I found a better question. So, will we ever unlock Foxhole for more than 60 FPS? Is a good question from Hectic 001.
Yeah, I think that's just that was just an oversight.
I think it's more of like an Unreal Engine sort of default thing.
It wasn't okay. So the story there is there was a bug that we had to work around by limiting that, but I think we've like overcome that. So we just have to go back and figure out the way to switch it on without removing the thing that it worked around, if that makes sense. So the answer is yes. I think it's dumb that a PC game is locked to 60 FPS on the client. There's no reason why the rendering. There's other things that like in the background that have to be like locked, like things like how many network updates are being sent and things like that. That even crazy FPS games lock, but in terms of just your rendering rate and your local client, there's no reason why any PC game needs to be locked at 60 FPS. And if we don't fix that at some point, then we need to turn in our badge as PC game developers. So
that's why I wanted to ask it, because with the new consoles, I'm constantly thinking about like, damn, I wish this game wasn't locked at like 30 FPS, and so with PC, I try never to think about that. I just crank it up as much as I can.
Yeah, for console, especially like previous generations, it's just a matter of performance. You gotta lock some things at 30 FPS, but for PC, just literally no reason.
A frowner asks, can we get death activity on map positions via API? Sort of like a heat map.
That'd be amazing.
I think that would be amazing. Maybe like a delayed one because there'd
Yeah.
be security issues, but I think that falls into the category of like cool stuff that is it's just
Guests per hour, maybe.
yeah.
Like real
I
hours?
mean that's like
I mean, if
yeah.
there are hotspots, it might not be. Let's say there is a 5-minute, 10-minute delay, and there are hotspots. They're not pinpoint accuracy the same way you would see like an infection graph or something like that. That might solve that problem.
Yeah, I think there's a lot
Like
of
there
cool.
are
Oh, sorry, you go on, Max.
Guild Wars 2 has a really good system for that, for World versus World, which I loved. It was like all it does is it takes, if you kill 5 people within a certain distance of each other, then it just spawns like a little like cross swords on the map, and that's it. And just across swords, it's not even very accurate as to where these people died. But I thought it's really cool because then it's like if you're just a new player hitting the map, you know where all the fighting's taking place.
Yeah.
Which is maybe not an issue for our game because you can still see the little soldiers. You already know where the fighting is, but I just thought it was cool.
One just like house cleaning note, guys, please don't send me essays for questions. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna read your whole like dissertation on something. Just ask a question.
Also, no need to spam a question.
There was an interesting one that I kind of wanted to bring up because initially I saw the question and I was like, meh, and then I thought about it and I thought it could be kind of an interesting idea. I can't remember who asked it. Oh, here it is. Dave Lopi. Is there a way the community could decide which vehicles get added next? Maybe we put 3 choices per faction or something. I don't know, and then there's a vote. I don't know. It was just a thought. At first, I was like, meh, and I was like, it could be kind of interesting.
That could be kind of interesting. Like we've done some things before in which the community had some input in the game. So I don't see why it wouldn't be possible. Of course, you completely open to a lot of griefing and a lot of people butting, but as long as it's not like a god tier vehicle that would absolutely annihilate the opposition, and maybe at the same time, let's say we give 3 choices for wardens, 3 choices for the colonials, and then it's 1 colonial and 1 warden that gets picked off. That could be interesting. That could be an interesting community thing to do. I don't know what are the logistics internally on Clapfoot to doing that. I think it would be a nightmare for Max and Mark. But other than that, but who cares about that anyway?
Well, I have a question for the community about that. Do you guys feel like everybody is going to be completely happy with the vehicle that's picked, and there's going to be no faction infighting about
to paraphrase yourself, hell no.
no, Mark. You let the faction pick the other faction's next vehicle.
Oh,
that's how you know you get some really interesting choices.
But you make sure that all choices are decent.
Yeah,
you don't put a bad choice up.
Both of them include a bicycle and a unicycle as part of
and a pogo stick.
And a wheelbarrow. How about that?
Also, how do you ensure that the votes are coming from the
wheelbarrows.
correct faction? That's a whole other just issue.
It's an in-game vote.
Yeah, you have to sign into your
character. You have to go to the polling station.
Ooh, wait a second. I really like that. Anyway, I'm going to move on. I just got some really bad jokes. Quintos asks, are there any plans for different biomes, such as deserts or rainforests? I don't think you'll get that extreme, right? Anytime soon. Maybe in the future. I'm not going to say never, because you never know what happens in the future.
I like desert.
But that isn't to say there maybe won't be a couple more surprises. It's really all I'm going to say. But the one thing I want to say is I think there's 4 right now, and I do think the game could use a couple more. Because I think we have we have fields like farmland. We have snowy. We have like a swamp, and we have forest, like dense forest. And I think it needs a little bit. I guess you could call maybe like Calhan's Passage
Dense
like a
forest.
rocky.
Yeah, I think
I would like to see a dense
mountainous.
jungle.
Yeah, I mean, jungle just doesn't make sense. I think logically based on the location, but it would have to
Everybody's
be.
camouflaged. It would be amazing.
It would have to be a whole other like location, I think. But that's why I said desert and jungle are like a little out of the realm of like the near future. But I would love to do that.
It would be so fucking cool.
100%. But both of those options.
Yeah.
I think it is safe to say though that like there will be more to come with the world before 1.0. Like
Yeah.
there is some more stuff that we feel like is incomplete. Not like crazy amount more, but like more.
The Versace guy says, "Are you interested in making a spectator cam, specifically for like
Oh, man.
streamers and YouTubers to get better visuals without stream sniping?"
I love that idea. First of all, I really like if for some reason we can snap our fingers and like get everyone to not be to have any issue with if stream sniping and like intel was not a problem, that'd be amazing. And I would almost argue that we were talking about this last week actually, because we're saying like what's with the increased server capacity, it still feels limited because you can't pull the camera out and actually see the 100 people in a town or like the 200 people in a town battle, right? And it'd be awesome if we had some special client mode that would allow a authorized person, maybe someone from the community like press corps, as just some like random example, to actually have that viewpoint so they can have this special footage taken. That would be an amazing thing. I don't know if we would have time in the near future schedule to do something like that, but man, as a dream feature, I would just love to have that sort of thing, right? Where like press corps has a special view or something like that.
One of the things where I think that would have been really helpful was when I was doing that 2v2 tournament during the Foxhole Festival. If like Sunchips was doing like commentating, but like sometimes you just can't see the players because they even with our sort of mod fly modes or whatever, like you can't like it's not good enough like it to be like a real sort of like spectator. And like in a game like Rainbow Six, the like the commentators and spectators can actually like go through all the different like layers of like the building and like actually see all the players with like they're like lit up so you can see where they are. And that's really, really
that,
cool.
you can
but,
snap from one to another.
yeah,
which
you
I
can just
think
snap
is
to the
really
different
good.
players. And I think, I mean, our game isn't really built for this whole thing, so like it doesn't make sense for us to put a lot of like effort into that particular feature as like a
Since we
competitive
still have
feature.
to fucking release the game.
Yes, and we got to release the game, but I think it's a really cool idea for like community run events or things like that. I think it is really tricky though, but I do love it as a concept. I'm gonna ask 2 more questions. So I'm gonna go right to the bottom now, and so make your questions good. Also, Sunchips is the best. Someone asked in chat. Yes.
If you don't like Sunchips, you're not a human being.
It's a fact. Sunchips is endorsed by. I'm just kidding.
He doesn't even play Foxhole anymore, but we're still like endorsing him.
Yeah.
So,
endorsing.
I'm gonna ask some questions from people I haven't already asked questions from. Here's a good one. Here's one that I don't think we've really talked about much, at least like publicly. Strike Commander Reyes asks very simple question, which is great. Group finder system? ?
Group finder system?
Like a squad finder.
Like a looking for squad finder.
Yeah, I thought about that recently. There's a game called GTFO that I've been playing lately, and they have a really good tie-in with their Discord server. They actually allow you to post a lobby number into the Discord, and then you click on it, and then you basically the summary is that it's very easy for you to get into a group there. Obviously, it's a completely different type of game. It's a lobby-based game, and so on and so forth. It's not applicable to Foxhole. But the takeaway from it is how much thought they put into making that a seamless experience.
And it's important because you really have to communicate in that game. You really have to know who you're getting into with.
Exactly, and it made me almost wonder, like, if you were more coerced into joining a squad in Foxhole, how that might change things at the front. Like, would there be, and that's an open question, is it like maybe something would be lost? Maybe there is a magic to just sort of the chaos and players coming together on their own. But maybe there's also a real advantage to having players more coerced into a squad, kind of like the game Squad, right? If you played the game Squad, the whole thing is focused around you join into the game. You join a squad, you don't join a team, right? And we've thought about things like maybe instead of joining a region on the deployment screen, you join a squad, right? Obviously, there's a whole bunch of problems that we'd have to work through to do something like that. We've considered these things in the past, and there were blockers to them. But I think for a game that's about working together, there is room to improve that stuff, and I would like to try to experiment with more of that type of coercion into groups. But yeah, it's an excellent question, right?
And it was 3 words.
I like that.
Alec6919 asks, we've seen some really good screenshots on the subreddit recently. Will we ever see screenshots / free camera mode in the game? I think that goes kind of into our like spectator mode comments a little bit. But what are your thoughts about, even if it's like you can't fly around, just get into like a slightly better view for, I mean, we talked a little bit about the camera, so why don't we just like kind of finish on this topic? Screenshot mode.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's one of those like no-brainer 1.0 or post 1.0 things. It's just like hard to justify working on something like that when there's like much bigger fish to fry. But it's cool, and I think especially once players have more differing visuals, that might also be a good time to do it too. Yeah.
I think that it's safe to say that any community centered idea or update, it's something that we were never gonna say no straight away, because the game is so heavily focused on players playing together and building a community around it that it would be ridiculous to say. So like a spectator camera or a screenshot mode of anything, like looking for groups and stuff like that, these are all things that we will always take into consideration, and we are always reconsidering as well as the development goes on. These are all ideas that had already come up previously as the years come by, but since a focus shift when we're trying to develop the game, for the people that don't know, maybe there's people that don't know, we still are a very, very small team. We're not a large company. We're a very small team trying to make a really large game. So we really have to focus our attention and development time on certain features. So certain community focus features might be passed on because the game has other pressing matters that require the focus of certain parts of the team that would be required to do those things. But I don't think we're ever going to say no. Everything that enhances the community playing aspect of it, I think we're always going to say, yeah, it's a good idea. Maybe you should look into that.
A lot of the ideas that come up are like really, really polishy though. So I would expect. I mean, the time is soon for that kind of stuff.
Well, I think it's one of those things where like you come into Foxhole and different people have understandably different expectations. Like some people come in
For sure.
They're like, well, they kind of expect it to play like a lot of the other games they play, like most AAA games do have a screenshot mode or something like that, and I think it's perfectly understandable to expect those things. Whereas like sometimes for us, like we see, I just want to like reiterate the thing we see like early access as. I want to just actually spend like a minute talking about this because I think it's important. Is like what we don't see early access as right now, maybe earlier on, but right now we don't see it as an excuse for like major bugs or like broken, outright bad things like players flying around everywhere and like the art being completely broken. That's a bad excuse, and I don't like it when I see things like, oh well, like the game's in early access, so you should like give it a break. Like for those things, I
Yeah.
actually generally feel like it's not a valid excuse, and if something is broken like that, we should fix it. And early access is not an excuse for that. But I feel like what we do like to take advantage of during the early access period is experimenting with the game mechanics, and I think sometimes understandably this causes stress for players because we're changing things that they're used to, changing things that they might have liked. But that's the part of the early access label that we're comfortable with taking advantage of, and that's the thing where at 1.0 we'd like to reduce the amount of like suddenly changing a game mechanic. I mean, changes are inevitably going to happen over the years, just as the virtue of being a live game. But you know, this is what early access means for us at this particular stage, right? It's not the same early access that it was in 2017. Back then, maybe we were comfortable with more bugs and more things, but right now at this stage, this is what early access means for us, right? So,
one last comment. 69 Sloot Slayer 69. Great name.
Yeah.
Says allow us to buy cosmetics for our characters to support hiring more developers.
They want microtransactions, Mark.
We're pretty
You
against.
gotta give what the masses want. Give
You're,
them loot boxes.
We're pretty against microtransactions over here at Clapfoot. That's pretty much all I want to say about that.
yeah.
I mean, who doesn't love loot boxes?
Loot boxes coming.
Yeah.
Clip
I'm going to
this
bite
and
my
send
lip
it out.
and not talk about this topic because
Because
I'll
you
just
get
be on here for half an hour.
heated. All right. Anybody else have any final thoughts? HB does.
Nope. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us once again. I'm glad to be back. If you you were not able to catch this every 2 weeks at 2 p.m. EST on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/foxholegame. Also know that we archive these on YouTube, which is youtube.com/foxholegame. You can see all our lovely faces and actually ask questions in the comments there. We try, particularly as soon as we upload, we try to answer some of the questions there, the interesting ones. Boring ones we just leave behind. But
That's how it goes. If you ask a boring question, your question's...
But you can also talk to us, obviously, if you join our Discord, discord.gg/foxhole. You can actually talk to us directly. You can ask us questions. You can talk to the community. People are very, very active on the Reddit as well. Our subreddit is r/foxholegame. So yeah, and the community is actually pretty active there. Do check out the community highlights blog post that happens later on this week, usually around Thursday, Friday. Hopefully. Yeah, Max is very busy. So, well, that's it. See you next time.
All right, everybody.
See you later.
Stay foxy.
Bye.
Bye. Are you gonna show your desktop again?
No, I actually... 'cause I have